What's your little thing?
I feel like I do a lot of little things.
Welcome back to Little Things, the self-care podcast where I ask my fave creatives about the little things that make them happy in the hopes that I learn some things about how to make my own life more meaningful. I'm Alice Griffin, and in this episode, we're talking to Lottie DL, a really incredible sustainability advocate and founder of Banish. Lottie founded Banish from her backyard back in 2019, and just in 2024 alone, she saved 1 million pieces of plastic going into landfill. And she has this massive community around her business now and her values around sustainability. I love talking to Lottie because oftentimes I think when we talk about the state of the planet and when we look at the reports, it is obviously very inherently depressing and scary. I really admire people who can come out of that place of scary and depressing and break down tangible steps that you can take to actually make a difference versus just being like, I'm one person, what can I do? There are actually a lot of things we can and should be doing, whether that's like activism, volunteering, or recycling your waste, and so much more, which we'll get into with Lottie. But I just admire people who can have a pragmatic and positive mindset about things big and existential. And what I was really interested to see from Lottie was whether that like pragmatic and positive mindset around running a business and all the different like kind of steps that she needs to take to make that possible translates into how she approaches her own self-care. And it does, spoiler alert, she is type A. She is very interested in like tracking her own progress around her self-care and setting up time where she can kind of schedule in time with friends and with family and in nature to reset and take time out for herself. So it was really cool to speak to someone who practices what they preach in a work setting, but also takes those lessons into her own life. It was an interesting chat because there was a lot of tension between Lottie and I in terms of how she approaches self-care and how I haven't been thinking about it that way at all. So I felt really inspired by her and intimidated by all the awesome things she's doing. But equally, I feel like there's so much to take away from this chat, and that's where the good stuff is. Like, we are all on such different journeys with our own self-care, and I'm excited to kind of share more of a perspective of like someone who is more regimented about how they approach these things and what I can take away from that. So one thing that I'm taking away from my chat with Lottie is self-care appointments can be really fun, and the self-care appointment that I'm taking up ASAP is going to the movies more, and especially on a Monday when Mondays are like quite normally depressing and not that interesting. I think it's really fun to have like something to look forward to at the end of the day. So I'm going to be doing that at Dendy cinemas with my choc shop in hand with some popcorn and going to watch some like cult classic films. So that's going to be my kind of little thing for the foreseeable. Thanks to Dendy for making this episode of Little Things possible, and here's Lottie now.
Went for a swim, had coffee with the gals, and then came here.
You were up early then?
Yeah, it was so nice. It was so cold though. The motto is you never regret a swim.
I stand by that too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in. It's so exciting to have you, Lottie. I have to ask you, what's your little thing?
So I think my little thing would have to be my ins and outs, something that's very trendy at the moment, but I do love them.
What's on your ins and outs?
Let me get my phone out. There's quite a few. So my word of this year is health. And then if we're going to start with my ins, they would be, the first one is after work surfs. Nicer work clothes, good posture. You're doing very well.
I'm trying really hard. They're going to strap me into this jet.
Yeah. Financial health. So like looking at financial literacy, all those kinds of things. Putting my general physical health first. So prioritizing the gym, healthy eating, all of those kinds of things. Big audacious work goals. So
I love the word audacious.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
word.
fun. That makes me excited.
Yeah. So because being a business owner, if you don't set yourself up for these goals, if you don't put it out there saying this is what I want to achieve, I don't really think it kind of happens. So it's about being bold, ambitious, taking the leap, taking the jump and striving for more.
How do you trust yourself to have those? Like, what is a big audacious goal in your mind? You've already achieved so much, and I think we'll talk more about that. But how do you, what does big look like for you, and do you get scared?
I I don't know if scared would be the right word for it, but it's not easy. And I think there's obviously that fear of failure is something that I think is very easy to relate to. But I think for me, when it comes to big work goals, it's about up leveling and going, okay, we don't want to sit uncomfortable for too long. And I was talking to one of the team about it the other day, and I was like, a couple of months ago, I was like, I just felt like everything it wasn't easy, but like it was comfortable. And it's like, okay, well, what's the next step? And not sitting in that comfort for too long and pushing. And I feel like that's this kind of area that we're in as an organization and as an enterprise, is that we're in a scale up mode. So it's like once we've nailed something, we want to be pushing to the next level.
What drives you to want to keep growing it? Because obviously I'd love to hear more about your values around starting Banish as well. But what drives you to be like, I want more. I want it to be bigger. I want the impact to be significant. Even if it's already like the impact that your business has is crazy already in terms of like the amount of plastic you've saved from landfill is 1 million in
last year.
In 2024. So is enough?
I think with the climate, there's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
There's always more that we can be doing. So I think that is the driver. It's that our impact, like I'll never sit here and pat myself on the back and be like, great, you did enough, because there's always more to be done. So I think that is the driver, is the fact that we can always do more. There's always more people that we can influence. And I also think the way that technology is changing, the way we communicate is changing, the way that everything is moving so quickly, because we are a startup, we're agile, we're able to adapt and evolve. And I think that is so exciting and something that I love, trying new things and love seeing what we can possibly do as a team. So I think that's, one of the big drivers.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go through it.
Stepping it up. More protein. I feel like this is on everybody's list this year. Just eating more protein. Oh, really?
No, I've never thought about it once.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, my whole feed is like talking about protein.
Okay. Oh,
pretty
wow.
much.
Okay, what kind of protein?
I'm a vegetarian, so it's just in general, full stop, a difficult challenge to get protein. Yep. So just trying to add it in.
Chickpeas?
Yeah, love chickpeas.
Okay. So I know one.
Good work. Tick for you.
Tick, yeah.
Having really good salads.
Oh.
Like, when you like throw together a really bad salad and it's just not okay.
I just don't really have salads
Exactly,
that much.
But when you get a really good salad, it can like be a game changer.
Send me the recipe.
Okay, will do. Novelty surf. So that means like when it looks like it's not very good waves or it looks like a shitty day, just still going out and being like, well, just for the fun of it, I'm going to go and do that. More challenging workouts. So I've been in the past just like going through the motions, doing whatever, not pushing myself. So more challenging workouts. Texting people back. I'm sorry, everybody.
Tough.
I'm really bad.
Some people, they do like set times where they text people back.
Yeah.
That was in a productivity book that I read and I haven't followed it. But I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that like will respond to you in like 10 seconds or like 10 days.
Yeah, same.
So I'm trying to be better. So sorry to everybody in advance. Yeah, and I think I've also got on here good hair days.
Yeah, what did you mean by this? I saw this and I was like,
Good hair days. Because like we were saying before this chat, I love going for a swim in the ocean and I'm very fast and loose, throw my hair back, whatever goes, and then like hop into the office. And I'm pretty much like dripping on my office chair by the time I've like started work. Again, I think it comes down to this confidence, this personal style. Having better hair, I think, is something that just makes me feel great. And it's something that I wanted to add to the list as well. I also got given a air wrap by my girlfriends for my 30th birthday.
That's like a year and a half learning curve, hon.
It is.
Like, that is tough.
It is really tough. And I've got a lot of hair. Yeah. So it takes a long time to do it. But I'm putting it on here because I'm like, I really want to focus on that. And the beauty of it is that like I think I did my hair like this like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And it's still looking relatively okay.
It looks fab.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So it's just like doing things like that, whereas like I would be in the past, very easily like in my little troll era and like a little gremlin. And that's fine.
In your troll era, that's fun.
But we just want to be out there feeling good, looking good as well.
I'm in like a weird funk of personal style at the moment. Maybe similar to what you were saying, just in terms of like I want to exude a certain vibe or confidence or energy. My body's changed, but also the time that I have to think about my creativity has changed in being more busy, like running a business, same as you. So it's kind of like I do just end up throwing on whatever. But I think it makes such a difference to how you feel if you're checking in with yourself that way. But then it's also more work. And sometimes I want to be a gremlin.
Yeah, gremlins are great.
Yeah.
I love gremlin days.
I feel like we're all on the same page with this at the moment because Emma Chamberlain just did a week of putting in effort, like a little challenge for herself. And it was trying to get her out of that like gremlin mode. So I definitely feel like this is the time to be talking about this for sure.
I also love, so because like you, I don't have much time, I will do the outfit the night before.
Yes.
And that does make a really big difference because again, it's less things you need to think about in the morning. And also I've started, it sounds ridiculous, but on Sundays, you know how like when you're going for a night out, you used to like try on everything in your wardrobe. I would do that on a Sunday, but to plan my outfits for the week so that then I will know what looks good. So it's not like on a Friday morning where I'm rushing out the door, I've thrown something on, I'm like, hang on, this actually doesn't look very good together. I've already got that planned.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
You're a planner.
Love a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's go through.
Sorry, we'll be here for 2 days. My outs are working after work.
Yeah.
Very guilty of doing that. Working through lunch. Very guilty of doing that.
Always do that.
Yep. Reading bad books.
Yes, this is a problem for me as well.
Life's too short to read bad books.
Yeah. And it's okay to give up.
Exactly.
Giving up is good at times.
At times. Just in the book front. I just feel like there's so many books I have on my to-read list.
Yeah.
And then when I have somebody being like, oh, you have to read this book, and I start it and I'm hating it and I don't read, and it's just like, give up.
It throws you out completely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Quit. And then
Just quit.
Just quit. And then unnecessary work stress. Because I feel like there are so many things that are stressful for good reason, but sometimes you can just put that layer of stress on yourself and it's going, no.
How do you know if it's unnecessary or necessary?
I think this sometimes comes down to my mental space.
Yeah.
And if I'm in a good mental space, it's kind of going to like, I don't know, wash over me like a Teflon pan. But I think with unnecessary work stress, it's acknowledging and being like, is this something that I actually need to stress about or not? And a really good kind of, I guess you could say it's quote that I heard from somebody say was, if it's not going to matter in 5 years' time, then don't think about it for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Should do that.
Should
keep
Should
that
do
in
that.
mind. A lot of
We'll
shoulding.
try.
Oh my gosh.
We'll add it to your check-in.
Yes. Okay. So I'm actually going to look because knowing me, what I would have done is I would have written an ins and outs list back in January and then never looked at it since. So let's see if I actually did. Okay.
And I also we can grade you. We can score you
so
now.
this is our check-in moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Rituals and habits.
Love it.
Ish. Close enough to ins and outs. Okay.
You've got to read them all.
I'm
You
like,
can't censor
what
them.
do I feel? Okay. What am I comfortable sharing? Yeah, you just shared all of yours. So I'm like, I have to do it. Okay. Ins, 10 mins of tidying every day.
Ooh, I love that.
Not achieved.
Oh, devastating. Do you want to know my tip for that? Do you like Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
finally a guest speaking my language. Okay,
so
what
this
have we
is
got?
what we do this at the hub. So we put on All Too Well 10-minute version and you have to clean the whole time until the end of the song and then you stop.
Lovely.
So you have to blast it like full
I
blast.
love this check-in. I'm getting so much from this. Okay, that's actually changed everything for me. Okay, great. Okay, my next one. Buying into negative self-talk.
Oh, good one.
I think I'm actually getting better at this from doing this podcast.
I love that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just taking a minute and I feel like Jana would probably agree. Jana, the executive producer on this podcast and one of my dear colleagues and friends, she's like really trying hard for me to like kind of rein in some of my negative self-talk. She got me a sticker that said, "You're doing a great job."
I love that.
Keep going. So yeah, being on this podcast and actually hearing about how other people overcome their negative self-talk, but also just check in with themselves more and like view challenges positively has made a difference, I feel. So we got one.
Great.
We're like -5 and we're up 1. Outs, Instagram outside of work.
Oh, that's a hard
I
one.
know. I guess what I mean by that is just like random doom scrolling.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really into that because I just don't think it's that helpful. And also I spend so much time on my phone at work. So I'm trying to be better at that. I won't share that one. And I don't think that's appropriate to share. And yeah, we have all these ins and outs, but then how do you actually make sure you do them and don't end up like me and you're like -5 down?
I think it's hard. And I think for so many years, I was like you, I set them at the start of the year and then like I forget about every single one of them. But for me, I have a group of girlfriends and we catch up every quarter and we check in and we actually score ourselves, which is why I was asking you for your like what you've done and what you haven't. So you can just see how you're going because you need to, I think, remember them or be reminded of them, but also it gives you an opportunity to go set the intention to do more.
Like the first thing you do when you set a goal is you should tell someone else about it because if you're doing it by yourself, it's just so easy to not like commit to it.
Exactly. And I feel like I definitely stole some ins and outs from my friends because when they were like, I want to do more of this, I was like, yeah, me too. And I think that's nice because then we can do things together or we can like be talking about the challenges that we're having as we're trying to do those.
How many ins and outs are acceptable? Like, what are we talking?
It's a good question. I think at the moment I've got like 25 in total, but most of mine are actually ins. I've only got like 4 or 5 outs.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But you've got to put it out there. And I know that I'm not going to do all of them, but if I can do a good amount of them, then I'm pretty happy with it.
So let's talk about Banish. And the funny thing is, you are big into ins and outs, right? But then I watched your TED Talk and you were saying that Banish really started from a New Year's resolution.
It did. But I feel like the New Year's resolution that it started from wasn't technically that much of a New Year's resolution. And it was also like 2019 when I set that New Year's resolution. I feel like ins and outs weren't too much of a thing then. But yeah, the New Year's resolution was to do better for the planet. Because I feel like back in 2019, like it sounds like it was just yesterday, but we still had like plastic bags in supermarkets. We're starting to see the turtles with straws up their noses. We're like everything. There's a lot of doom and gloom in the media about everything that was going wrong with the planet. But when I was reading all of these articles and consuming all of this media, I was like, well, tell me what I can do about it. And nobody was really doing that.
That's a part of the conversation around sustainability is like it feels so large and scary and like what can I do physically? But I feel like what you've done with your business is show there is like a tangible path to making a difference, whether that's in all the incredible work you've done, but also just as someone who follows you and wants to engage with that.
So I was documenting the journey of kind of literally Brad, the recycling program started in my backyard because I didn't think anybody was going to do it. Honestly, it's still a pretty bizarre concept when I meet people for the first time and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, people send me their recycling in the post. And people are like, what? Like, that's a bit weird. And I'm like, yeah, I know it is a bit weird. But when we first started, we received 3 shoeboxes in the first month. But in the second month, we received 70 shoeboxes from people from around Australia. So the uptake was really quite quick. And then last year, we received 18,000 shoeboxes in the mail. So it just shows that there's so many people that want to do something. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's about showing people that they can take action because I feel like the best way to alleviate if you're feeling any kind of like anxiety or feeling like you're not able to make a difference, doing something makes you feel a part of a community. And so that's what I'm trying.
As well, I feel like we're kind of in a different mindset societally at the moment in terms of there's cost of living pressures. Like there's a lot of, we've kind of internalized and gone back to a bit more of an individualized mindset recently, perhaps, just based on like the pressures that people face in their daily lives. So I feel like that's another challenge for you guys too.
It is. I actually wrote a book that was published at the start of this year, which is titled 365 Ways to Save Your Money and the Planet at the Same Time because of this conversation. Yeah. I feel like I was having it with so many different people and they were like, look, I want to do something for the planet, but it's too expensive. Yeah. And it was interesting because in my journey, I've found that I have saved so much money from living sustainably, because ultimately the crux of it is, in order to do better for the planet, you need to stop consuming so much stuff. And that is pretty much the gist of it. So it's about using up what you've already got. It's about reuse, repair, rewear, all of these things that don't necessarily cost us more money, but I think initially when we often think about sustainable choices or sustainable living, it's like, oh, well, I've got to pay, I don't know, $130 now for a t-shirt. And it's like, well, no, you don't actually have to do that in order to be sustainable. You could rewear what you've already got. You could thrift something. And I think that's the conversation that we need to change. But also I think I've done a lot to build out my own community. So kind of when I did quit my full-time job to then start Banish, I really set myself up for trying to build that network. So I would set myself, love it, a target. And it was to do one networking event a week pre-COVID. So I was out and about just going and chatting to whoever I could. But also I did a lot of things, like I joined my local surf club. So then I would find community. I started chatting to my neighbours. I started mowing the lawn of the old elderly people next door. They started giving us goulash in return. All of these little things I think are intrinsically in our behaviour, but we've just kind of adapted and evolved so quickly that we often forget these old school practices that are so lovely. One of my favourite things that we do as a friendship group is we have this thing called family dinner. And on a Monday night, regardless of like any Monday night, somebody in this group, there's about kind of 8 of us, will put up their hand and say, I'll cook everyone dinner. We all go over, have a home cooked meal on a Monday night, chat with one another, and we play a board game. And then we go out. And that is the Monday night. And it's so nice because it means that you've got a Monday, it's normally a pretty hectic day at work. You're tired, you don't really want to do anything. But the fact that you know you're going to have a home cooked meal with your friends, you've made your own little family, because we're all orphans, well, figuratively speaking, in Sydney. And it's just so lovely because it means that you've got that kind of, almost, you just make people your family. They're not blood, but you make it.
I love the idea of appointment. Like just having appointments and things stacked in the cow, because like trying to organize stuff with friends can be actually its own kind of job. So it's nice to be like, every Monday we're doing X. Something that I'm trying to do is go to the movies more. I think that movies are super wholesome. So I'm doing that every Monday as well. So I have like a movie night. Off I pop to the Dendy and like watch a nice film and chill. And I feel like that's super nice as a way of like being like, this is something I'm doing for myself, because Mondays can be a bit
Well, there's not really much going on.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's nice. And I think, like you're saying, it's about having that routine. And like, yes, I'm not going to make every single Monday.
Yeah.
But majority of the Mondays I can make it work. And it's just nice to have that check-in. And I think community is something that is missing in a lot of people's lives. And I think it's really difficult because it is scary when you move somewhere for the first time, or when you're trying to build out, I don't know, a new friendship group, or you might have gone through a huge transformation yourself and maybe your friends don't align with you as much anymore, and that's okay, but it's really hard to then find new friends. And I think that's something that we need to open up for people, is the opportunity to put themselves out there and to connect with others.
So what I want to talk to you about is being the face of a brand. We had a little chat when we were preparing for this podcast, you and I, about how obviously like you want to present yourself a certain way, but equally wanting to feel really comfortable in your own skin and being that face of that brand. What's that been like for you? Because I find that stuff can be really, like seeing yourself in a podcast, for example, or it can be quite intimidating and kind of challenge your sense of self.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think because I've been doing it for such a long time now, I probably don't feel as much of the intimidation or the need to look beautiful or presentable all of the time on social media. I feel like even though we've got a really large audience now, whenever I'm filming a video or posting something, I'm not thinking about the fact that like 130,000 people are going to watch this video. I'm just like, okay,
you
cool.
can't, by the way. If you think of it like that, you're never going to be able to do anything.
Exactly. I was at the SCG the other day and with my cousins, and one of them was like, they're like, this is how many people are at the stage. medium. And he was like, that means that there's like more than double that watching your Instagram stories. And I was like, what?
Why say that? Why say that? Can you not? Yeah, it's so hard to like put into context what that actually means. Like we're like, wow, 12 million people viewed this video. We're like, yeah, what? That's a lot.
But it is, I think for me, it's been a conscious choice. And I think I did it from day one because in order to relate to sustainability, I think it's a lot easier to relate to a person going through the journey than it is to relate to a brand.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the intention when I started Instagram predominantly back when I started Banish, and then when I started TikTok. I do have a TikTok for Banish and a TikTok for Lottie, but Lottie performs a lot better because people are like, oh, I'm like that. I have those feelings too. And that I think helps people resonate with the cause a little bit more. So we kind of talk about the lottie-tok or the Banish talk or whatever it is, because they are different audiences and they're going to resonate with the content is going to resonate differently with those audiences.
So obviously you got your ins and outs, and I feel like there's a lot of good stuff there. But what are the other things that really ground you from a self-care point of view? Like what are the things you most love to do to kind of like check back in with yourself when you're super busy?
Yeah, I think that's something that resonates with the two of us is the ocean. And
I love that we go way back.
We go way back.
It resonates with both of us. Yeah. Yes.
But I think it's one of these difficult things. And I know it sounds so cliche, but literally just getting eyes on the ocean.
Yeah.
It does something. I don't know what it is, but it does something to my mind, to my body, to everything. It just becomes like jelly and I'm just like me again. And I think sometimes there's so much pressure that we put ourselves on self-care, and we need to have a self-care night, or we need to do X in order
everything shower.
Yeah, all of these things. And sometimes I'm like, I just need to go for a walk.
Yeah.
I just need to get outside, and I just need to do something that separates me from my day or whatever is happening that I'm not enjoying, or if I'm in a bit of a funk. And I think the ocean does something to me because it's something that you can't control. It's there. It's either really rough and wavy or windy or whatever it is, but it is there. And I think for me, that's something that really helps. So whether it's walking or surfing or swimming or dipping or anything, I think that for me is something that I absolutely love. And being in Sydney, I'm very lucky to live close by to the ocean as well.
Is that where your journey with sustainability really started, because you love the ocean?
I don't know, to be honest. Like I didn't have one of those moments where like I saw plastic washing up everywhere and I was like, now I'm going to change my life.
It wasn't like the David Attenborough documentary for you?
Unfortunately not. What? I wish I had like one of those like pivotal moments, but I didn't really. But I do think that it has always been such a big part of my life. I just think in general, nature full stop is probably one of my biggest whys. It is the fact that I think during the pandemic, we saw so many of us go back to those things. We were looking for birds. We were trying to hear all of the sounds. We were trying to grow our own food. We're trying to do all of that. And I think
all the stuff that you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was one of these things because we didn't have all of this extra noise. We kind of went back down to our roots, pun intended. And I feel like that's something that is so special and precious. And I think we need to go backwards a little bit and not always just forwards.
So you're a pandemic girl. Yeah. You kind of like in an appropriate way. You kind of like bits and bobs.
In an appropriate way, yes.
Yes. Like you liked the parts of lockdown culture maybe.
Yeah, I actually had the funniest lockdown. So obviously family in Queensland, mum flew down because we were having a Banish event and I needed help. Obviously had no staff at the time. So I was like, Mum, come help me. So she flew down, and as she was in the air, they closed the borders. So she got off the plane and I was like, called her. I was like, do not leave the airport, just hop straight back on a plane and go and you'll be fine. She was like, no, it's only going to be like a week or two. It'll be fine. No. Yeah, it was 3 months sharing a bed with my mum.
With your mum.
Yeah, just the two of us in an apartment.
Well, the opposite happened to me. My boyfriend went back to the UK where he's from for a trip, and then I called him, and I think it must have been late February 2020. And then I called him and was like, you need to come back because they're going to shut the borders. And he's like, no, I think it'll be fine. And then didn't come back and then we're stuck there for 8 months. And I was like, so annoying. Had to move out of our apartment, go back to our parents. Like it was just like a whole big saga. So goods and bads, but I did go for a lot of walks and that was nice. Nice. And a lot of Scrabble. So no, it was, there's definitely things I think we can learn from that time. Around like how we spend our time and what we're focusing on and being, I'm like obviously chronically online with this job and like love to be, but super nice to have those moments where you're like, okay, I'm going to put my phone down, go for a walk, chill. I don't need to document this process. Yes. How do you deal with that actually, like documenting? Because obviously there'd be so many things that you do like for Lottie, TikTok, all of that. How do you manage what you just want to keep for you and what you want to put out there as like part of the kind of banished world?
Honestly, I don't think there is a lot that's not seen by
You're like,
everybody.
It's all out there.
It's
by
all
the
out
130,000 people.
Yeah. But that's probably more of a reflection on the fact that I don't have a lot of work-life balance more than anything else. So I think it's just because I do spend majority of my time working or thinking about the business or doing that kind of side of things.
I think we can fall in this trap where we're a totally different person outside of our work and inside of our work, but it doesn't really have to be that way. Those things can coexist and actually who you are should inspire your work and vice versa.
And I also think because a lot of the things that I'm trying to educate people on are like how to make sustainable choices at home.
Yeah, it's going to enter your home world for sure.
Agreed. I think it's not really something that's achievable for me and never really has been. I don't think I've really ever had it, to be honest. And I think often when I reflect on times, I'm like, I was probably doing better at it in that period. But it's really hard when you're in it, I find, to separate work and life. I'm trying to do small things now that help me separate that. Part of it has been with this year talking to about my ins and outs. For me, having health, so trying to do more exercise, more physical activity, that is me trying to separate work and life in general. I also never sleep with my phone in my room, and I think that's been a bedroom. I think that's been a huge thing. So it's literally out in the kitchen. I've got an alarm clock that wakes me up, and for me that has been such a game changer because it means that I cannot scroll, I cannot email, I cannot do anything. I cannot wake up after the alarm and then just go, I'm just going to like sit in bed and like text or do whatever. I have to get up and out of bed. I do have a post-it note next to my bed though, so that if I'm, when you're like lying there falling asleep and you like think about something like, oh my gosh, I need to remember that.
Yes, and I never do. And it's terrible. And it's like been, when we're talking about like big audacious ideas for the business, it's like in one ear, out the other in those moments.
So that's why I have the post-it note. Yeah. And like I don't turn the light on. So like sometimes I cannot even read what I wrote the night before. But I also think just getting it on paper means that it's like out. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about that tomorrow.
Yeah. You can vaguely kind of recall your scribblings.
Yeah.
Are you okay with not having work-life balance in that way and that it's not achievable? And I guess like there's no real end in sight. If you do want to have these really big audacious goals, your work will continue to show up in a really big way for you for the foreseeable. How does that feel for you?
Yeah.
Knowing that you're in the tunnel.
It's hard. It's really difficult. And I think that I'm definitely good at doing some things about it, and I'm trying to be better about like finishing work when I'm at work rather than I'm just going to take my laptop home and do a couple of hours at work. I'm like, no, I'm going to stay for an extra hour in the office, do what I need to, and then switch off when I get home. But I think it's just this thing that as a business owner, I'm always thinking about it. And so even if I am going for a walk, I might be thinking about it. So I'm trying to disconnect, I'm trying to have more hobbies that are not so related to what I'm doing, which is why I love surfing and swimming, because it's not related to the business. It's not related to anything. But I just don't think that for me, I have like an ideal of what that looks like just yet.
Yeah.
And I think as the business changes and as I change, it changes what I want my life to look like. So maybe in the future, I think it will look like I'm not so all consumed by it. But right now, I don't have the pressures of children or a really hectic family life or anything like that. So I can kind of go all in on the business. So that's what I'm doing.
I think that's really cool for people to hear that as well, because if you want to do really big, hard things and run a business, like it will take a lot from you, and maybe people don't kind of realize the toll that takes and the amount of energy and effort that goes into something like that, versus just seeing you being successful. Talk to me about surfing. I have been for one surf lesson. I did stand up.
Good.
And I was really happy about it.
Love it.
But I really said to myself, like, I'm definitely going to do this. I'm going to go back. I live near Bondi, so there's really no excuse. I haven't been back. How'd you get into it?
I started when I was young, so I did it a lot growing up and I really enjoyed it. But I feel like in the early 2000s, there weren't too many other girls out there doing it. Now we're seeing a lot more. Classic during the pandemic. My girlfriend and I got back into it. We bought surfboards. We were like, great. We'd both surfed when we were younger. I'm not as good as I think I am. I wish that I was better, type A personality, being like, I need to nail this. But I think that has been really great for me as a person. And the fact that you go out and you're like, I know I'm going to nail this, I'm going to do this, and then you don't, can be really difficult when you're like, I know that I'm better than this, or you're having a bad day. But I think that's part of the fun of it, because you're trying to up level, you're trying to learn something new. I also love that it's a social thing. So my boyfriend is a very, very, very good surfer, which is really frustrating sometimes, but he's great at surfing. So like one of my favorite things to do with him would be go surfing. Same with going with my girlfriend. And also in general, you've got calm, you've got peace, you're on the water. It's normally sunrise, sunset. Yeah. It's lovely.
Yeah. You can't look at your phone. You can't, you have to be present. I think it's a good exercise in mindfulness.
Exactly. And I think as well, there's so few times as adults where we try to do something that we're not actually that good at. And and I think that's something that is very challenging, but really great as well. And the fact that the ocean can do all fun kinds of things, it can dump you, it can roll you, it can do everything, but that's part of the learning. And I think that's great.
Boogie boarding?
Love to boogie board. Oh my gosh.
What a throwback. Oh,
love
like
a boog.
We all did it so much as kids. It's like, why do we not do that now?
Exactly. So obviously love a thrift, but Josh my boyfriend's also called Josh. Sorry,
twins.
Not your boyfriend didn't come
I was
home.
like, what? My boyfriend's not boogie boarding, or is he? I don't know.
So he came home one day and he was like, oh my gosh, I just found 2 boogie boards on the side of the road. And I was like, that is the best
That's
ever.
a sign.
So good. So now we literally like put our flippers on, go out in the ocean when it's too big and just go boogie boarding. And it is so much fun. And like, I'm talking like deep belly laughs. Like, you know, when you have that really deep belly laugh and like you don't get to do that as much. And it is just so much fun. And I don't know why. I just love it so much. I'm like, why did we stop doing this?
Yeah, it's a funny age. Hey, like I'm trying to think when I last boogie board. Like why do we stop? I guess they don't do they make the boards? I guess they do, big enough for.
Well, these ones literally are so
like,
old. These
Yeah.
were just like secondhand ones that we found on the side of the road. So they are very old. Apparently they were very good back in the day.
Okay.
Whenever they were their prime. But I also just think it's one of these things, it's goofy, it's silly, it doesn't require a lot of skill.
Doing stuff for the fun of it and having no other reason to do it just beyond like, let's go do something fun. We just went to karaoke, literally just... Yeah, me and my boyfriend, losers. It seems like something you should do with other people. But I was like, this is so fun because we did it in Japan and had so much fun. And just like, should we just like sing Chapel Roan and chill out in this room and be like absolute dorks? It is nice to just not care and just...
Exactly. And I think just to do an activity for the sake of it, it doesn't have a goal.
Yes.
I think that's why like I was thinking about this conversation on my way here and I was like, I'm like loving the trend of crafting and of doing all of the things. I was listening to your episode with Remy and I was like, this is also fun, but it always has a goal. And it's like, well, what happens if there's no goal? What happens if it's like just do something fun and silly just cause? You're not going to get like a beautiful thing at the end of it, but you're just going to have a good time.
Yeah. And you don't have to feel, and you know, Remy did teach me about that. Like, it's part of the process. It's not about the finished product, but you will get a finished product if you're crafting, crocheting, like whatever it might be. I do like the idea of like you get nothing except a deep belly laugh.
Yeah.
Fun.
If anyone wants to come boogie boarding, please let me know.
Literally me. I need to find a board that will like be big enough for me, but
I've got one, don't worry.
Okay, good. Every person that I have on this podcast, I ask them some words to live by. You gave me a few different options.
Ooh.
But I don't know if you remember now.
I can't
You're like,
remember
what did I
now.
say? Oh God, you're like,
Gosh,
do
I was
stand
wise
by
in
this?
my youth.
Yes. Yours, you quoted Nike.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Just do it.
Yeah. I just think there's so much hesitation, so many things that we want to achieve, where there's so many times you're like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to start that business. I want to join that class. I want to do this. But why don't we just get out there and do something about it?
Because we're scared.
I know, but I think that's the fear behind it. Sometimes it's like figuring out what the worst case scenario is.
And oftentimes, like, the worst case scenario is nothing. Like, it's such a small thing. It's like, let's go out and volunteer. It's like, just make the time to go and do that. I don't know why.
Yeah, like what's
the
stopping
blocker?
you?
But sometimes, yeah, I don't know what it is. But mentally, I think, like, your mind does funny things. But I think everyone's different. Once you start practicing that muscle, I imagine that it becomes easier and easier to just be like, I'm not going to think about doing this thing. I'm actually just like going to go do this thing.
Exactly. I know when I started Banish, I obviously had that fear of being like, oh my gosh, what happens if this doesn't work? And when I was like writing everything up and figuring it out, what I kind of, when I stepped back, I was like, well, the biggest thing is that I can start this education platform and I can teach a whole bunch of people how to live more sustainably. And then I'll have to get another full-time job. And like that really didn't seem like failure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going, well, what's the worst case scenario? If you sign up to do that volunteering program that you've wanted to do and you're like, you go there and you don't have a good time, it's like, oh, well, I helped that organization for 3 hours, 5 hours a day, and then you move on with your life. And I think there's so many times where we can look to people online or we can look to other role models and be like, oh my gosh, I love what they're doing. I wish I could do that. And it's like, well, in many cases, you're the person blocking. You're the biggest barrier.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't always have to be a huge step, but maybe it could be just breaking down what are the steps that you need to do in order to achieve that and doing one small thing at a time rather than making it a huge, big goal could be a way of, I don't know, overcoming that. But I also think it's one of these things that you always look to other people and you always look to them with rose-coloured glasses going, well, they've got it all sorted out.
And also you only see one small part of someone's overall life and everything they go through. Like the people who are seeing Lottie online are seeing a lot of you, but not everything, not all your struggles, not every kind of thought that you may have throughout the day, obviously. So they're comparing a small part of your life with their whole life, all of their context.
Exactly. And I think as well, like there's so many things that you just, as you said, you don't see going on behind the scenes. And somebody asked me, they were like, what's the thing that you do the most in your job? And I was like, solve problems. That's literally what it is it's just putting out fires and solving problems, and you'd be the same. And I think it's one of these things, but you don't see that. You don't see all of the problems. You like see me recycling things, which is great and really fun, but there's a lot of failures in order to get to the end product or to get there. And I think that's something that it's not always easy, but you often have to go through the uncomfortable or the difficult in order to get where you want to go.
So, when am I coming to Ins and Outs party?
Anytime.
When's the next one?
Well, what are we, Q3? So July.
I love
or
you're
September?
the only person who talks about self-care in quarterly reviews.
So bad.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. We have a lot of different people on here. We had Remy with like cows, hills, and then we've got you with like quarterly review check-in on self-care.
We need to.
Yeah.
But also I just feel like any kind of timeline where you can call me anytime and we'll just chat through. and have a
Okay,
bit of a
good.
check-in.
And then we'll do boogie boarding after.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
the water will be a bit warmer by then too.
Yeah, it better be. Otherwise I'm going to have, because you would have a wetsuit, no?
Not on Fridays. On Fridays it's no wetsuits.
Okay. Oh gosh.
You'll be fine.
All right. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll
we'll
be
have
okay.
fun. Just do it.
Yes.
Not
you never
sponsored by
regret a swim.
Nike. This episode of Little Things was executive produced by Alice Griffin, that's me, and Jana Anderson, and produced by Natasha Lau. Thanks to Dendy Cinemas for making this episode possible. Buy tickets now for a late night trip to the Dendy with your best friends and see a killer retro program of fucking interesting films. Retro films, cult classics, and obscure gems playing nightly at 9.